All right. So, no, what did we say we were going to talk about? We said, oh, the Colonel Sanders. I tell you, he did.
I think we did. The Colonel.
The Colonel. I feel.
Family Guy bad. Season 1, Season 2, it's early.
Yeah, I feel early. See, we've had this conversation before, but not on the podcast. Early Family Guy was like way more like like a family sitcom, right? It was way more like regular. Like, it was way more like All in the Family. Like, you know, even the opening theme song is an allusion to All in the Family.
Absolutely, it was less wacky. There was, yes, it was a cartoon and it was animated, but there was no Peter Copter or things like that. It was kind of rooted in reality for the first couple seasons, and then they're like, all right, let's blow the lid off.
Yeah. It was really just like run of the mill like family situations, right? I mean, it was pretty like standard family sitcom stuff. But I think what happened when during the cancellation or like right before, because I remember like people, you probably remember this too. For years they kept comparing it to The Simpsons.
Yeah.
For years, and I think that Seth just couldn't deal with that because I think it made his work seem reductive when people would say shit like, oh, it's just a ripoff of The Simpsons or it's just a knockoff of The Simpsons. I think that Seth took that personally, and I think he made a conscious effort when the show got revived to make it more unique and less like The Simpsons. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. That's well said. And I think back, I don't know what the first television shows are, so excuse my ignorance there, but like, I imagine when I Love Lucy came out, right? People probably loved it. And then the next, whatever it may be, I have no idea. But the next, like, husband and wife sitcom, people were probably like, this is just I Love Lucy. Like, I don't know that for a fact, but I think human nature tends to repeat itself. So I imagine even back then that was an issue, right?
Yeah. I mean, American Dad, it's the same thing, right? It's just Family Guy. It's a lot like Family Guy. Or it's a lot like The Simpsons. Like, everything kept going back to, like, comparing it. And I think also that's why American Dad is so unique, too, because they're trying to make that less like The Simpsons, too, right? I mean, they're trying to make it, and that's like Family Guy, too, really. I mean, they're really, because if you remember, American Dad started when Family Guy was still canceled, right?
Yeah, it started after a Super Bowl. I remember being a kid and the Super Bowl ending and being like, what is this, like a Family Guy special? Not even kidding. And I watched it and was kind of like, Now I love it, man. I arguably like American Dad better than Family Guy. And I mean that.
And even then, like, American Dad, its first couple of years was like was really different. It was like really like more typical family type. Although to be fair, like when those shows were starting out, like they were still trying to find their footing and like find their identity too. Like they hadn't really like fleshed a lot of stuff out and like had found their own niche. But once they did, like especially American Dad, like it got really, like, they really went off the wall, which I like.
Family Guy is very cool because it was kind of the perfect storms of a lot of things because Family Guy had its run and then it got canceled and then I believe it got picked up again and canceled again and then eventually came back. Is that something like that? Is that fair for me to say?
Family Guy?
Yeah, I think Family Guy got canceled twice before it's had a consecutive run.
I don't know. I think it might have just been once, if I remember correctly, but you might be
Either
right.
way, not to the point that it was once or twice canceled, but I think what really helped and saved Family Guy is the DVD sales. Because when I was a kid, when
Absolutely.
I started watching Family Guy, it was from a friend in elementary school. It was like, watch a show. I went to his house. We watched the DVDs. I was like, Mom, we got to go to Best Buy and get Funko Land or whatever it was. I think that's
Funko Land.
Oh, dude, we'll open that door in Pandora's box in a second. Yeah, and then I had the DVDs, and I was watching these DVDs of the show, and then I was like, oh, there's no more episodes because it's canceled. So I think it's got saved by its fandom. It was almost like Donnie Darko, but on television, and it had that not a great release, not well received, but that cult fandom that came on strong, and they kind of saved the day, and I'm grateful for them.
I mean, you're absolutely right. I've heard, because I even heard like Seth say stuff to that extent that the DVD sales were like huge. And not just the DVD sales, but also Adult Swim.
Oh, that's right.
Because remember, it was playing in reruns on Adult Swim for a while, and that got it a lot of popularity because a lot of people didn't see a lot of those episodes in the original run.
Did you have a TV in your bedroom growing up?
Dylan, you know that I did at my mom's from when I was like 13 on. Like they put like I didn't have a computer, like my own computer, till like later on. I didn't have my own cell phone till later on. But like when I was like 13, they put the TV and a cable box in my room.
I had that too when I was younger, and based off of living through, being a growing teenage boy, having a TV in the room, I would definitely not allow my children to have a TV in their room.
I watched so much Cinemax.
Not even like that, dude, but like I remember being like in 5th and 6th grade and staying up till like 2 in the morning watching like nonsense. Watching like Samantha Brown's European Travels on the Travel Channel. And it's like, I'm 12. Like, I can't even get a visa. Like, what am I doing watching this? I should be going to bed. Like, it didn't make any sense.
I remember one time your brother slept over, and it was like 1 in the morning, and we were watching. You remember Wild on E?
Wild on...
It was on E, the E channel.
I don't.
They would like go around the world to like crazy party locations and like see all the different countries like and like areas like partied. And Brooke Burns was the host. Brooke Burns was the host, and she was such a smoke show. Look her up. Look up Brooke Burns. She was such a smoke show. I would watch that show all the time just to watch her. Like she was always like going out and like doing like the parties and stuff, and she was such a babe. See, again, I'm gonna get in trouble for this, DC. I called someone attractive.
You're not gonna get in trouble.
But like that's the type of shit that would be on at like 1 in the morning. It was either like infomercials, like.
As we said earlier, you're just stating an obvious fact that she is a attractive, beautiful gal, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to read into. You're just saying that.
Nothing.
You to appreciate her good looking.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason you watch the show. I bet it was for a lot of people. Don't worry, Steve, you're golden, my friend.
It's just an observation, D. It's nothing more, nothing less, just an observation. That's all.
And I just Googled it, and it's a fair observation at that. I'll back that up. She is a smoke show. If we're going down together.
Absolutely. I wouldn't have it any other way, D. I mean,
it's a double entendre, but let's go.
But I mean, yeah, I mean that's the type of shit that was like on TV, and like it's worse now though. Like you don't even have to worry about it's not even the TV. I think that's even like the biggest worry now for like kids today. I think it's more like the iPads and the iPhones and all like the internet stuff. I think is even way worse because like
you're right. I just kind of boomered myself. What a lame term.
You boomered? Is that a real thing?
No, I don't think so. In Left 4 Dead, the video game, it is. But like, my kids like no TV in your room. I'm like, oh, Dad, shucks, you mean it? And then I shut the door, and they're like, fucking idiot. Let's take out our phone. What a dumbass dad is. I'm downstairs.
He's so fucking stupid.
My fucking draw, douche.
I mean, like, what's crazy too? Like, I know some people who have kids that are, they're growing up and they're in middle school and high school and stuff. And like some people, they have like apps where like they can like track where their kids are. They can like track their activity. Like they can even like track their phone and like iPad like activity. Like that is super, super intrusive. Like on the one hand, like you don't want to go. I know exactly what you're saying. You don't let them go out in there and just do whatever the hell they want. But at the same time, though, like, it's a little bit big brother-y to, like, be watching every little thing that your kid does on an app.
How can you expect your kid to be a kid and play and have fun when he knows he's under constant surveillance, right? A watchdog never plays. Mm-hmm. And even if it's from a distance on your phone, like, yeah, you know what? You want to have the power to check their location every once in a while. that's fine. I kind of get it. It's not my style, but then again, I don't have kids yet, so that might change. But just don't abuse it because, not to be redundant, a watch die never plays. How can you expect your kid to have fun and play around if you're watching them like a hawk? It's just not going to happen. You can't have both things. So if you over monitor them and they turn out to be a weirdo, it's like, yeah, you did some weird shit to them. They're going to be a little off, my guy. But, at the same time, I don't have kids yet. So anytime I see parents, especially younger parents in action, at first, my initial reaction is like, what are you, Pol Pot? Like, what are you gonna, watch every move this kid makes? You're gonna choose what he eats and drinks like every second of the day? Like, he's 14. But then there's other times where I'm like, you know what? I don't even have a kid. This could be totally different. I could have a kid and just want to control every aspect of them because it's an offspring of my own, right? So
Yeah.
it's kind of unfair for me to point the finger, but at the same time, like when you're out and about, you see a kid on a leash, you're like, boy, I wish I had scissors and just like, run free, go, don't look back,
You want to hear? You want to hear a funny story about kids on leashes?
Yeah, please.
Last time that I was in Walt Disney World, I was 4 years old. It was 1995, and we all went down as a family. Both my parents, is me, Alexa, and Jackie, and Jackie is, not just still, she's learning how to walk. She's a toddler at this point. And, we noticed that a lot of parents have their kids on leashes. And I actually remember my dad saying, like, this is ridiculous. That's so messed up. Like, that's ridiculous. How do you keep your kid on a leash? Like, that's so ridiculous. This is just nonsense. And then while we're down there, Jackie learns how to walk. My dad bought a leash the next day.
Like, I get it. How quickly perspective can change.
Yeah, because then you couldn't catch her. She would just walk and walk fast and walk everywhere and like.
It's easy to lose a small kid who's not walking 110%. They can fall or trip over when you're in the long lines or at a park. It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. So then we're like, oh, okay, I get the leash thing now.
I guess the leashes aren't terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's because then, then Jackie's on the leash. I think one time, like, I even had to, like, hold Jackie on the leash, which was really weird. I'm like...
Oh, down girl.
I'm like, is this like a really smart dog? This is the smartest dog I've ever had to walk. Oh, man. But, yeah, I mean, that's the thing about... That's my leash story.
That's not taking it. Game as advertised.
Yeah. But
That's how you were at Disney.
It was that time. It was 1995.
Wow, you were one and done. You're like, there's too many leashes.
No, it wasn't even that. Like we would go a lot. We went as a family like all the time, and then like for whatever reason, we just stopped going to Disney. We went to Universal. We would still go to like Universal and all these other places, but not. I have not been to Disney since I was 4.
You ever been to Hershey Park?
Dude, are you really asking me that?
I love Hershey Park, man. I always thought Hershey Park
My
was great.
parents and your parents would take joint vacations together at Hershey Park. Like me and Ryan used to get it all, like we would do it up at I almost said get it on. You did hear that, right? We would do it up at Hershey Park.
Nothing like a little Reese's incest. This incest is sponsored by Mars Bar. It's like...
Oh man, you know what I meant.
I got a peppermint patty on the Great Bear.
That means 2 things.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh man. No, but we used to go to Hershey Park all the time. In fact, one time I think someone got sick. I don't know if it was me or Alexa or like someone got like chicken pox when we were there. It was crazy.
My God.
Yeah, it was. But dude, my parents and your parents, we used to go to Hershey Park. Like, they would take the kids to Hershey Park like all the time. It was so much fun.
I feel like Hershey Park was great because it was clean and affordable, and it had everything I needed, and it wasn't a plane ride. You could get it done in the car.
Yeah. Oh man, it was so fun.
Enjoyed it. I don't have any bad memories about it. The lines were really never that long. I just really enjoyed that place. I wonder what it was. I'm not too far from it now. I mean, I'm really not. I think I'm like under an hour and a half. Maybe I'll check it out one day.
Is that why we were so fat growing up? Because like we loved going to a place that like always smelled like chocolate and always had chocolate and was just based on chocolate.
I just was outside of playing organized sports. My favorite activities were like, let me lounge around and do dick. Let me do nothing. So
Yeah, I mean,
definitely didn't help.
I mean that's like only in America is there like an entire theme park based on candy.
Yeah.
All right, I mean like we're just so hopelessly.
It might as well be Chocolate Park.
Yeah. Get fat gardens.
Jesus. Oh my God.
Have another chocolate bar, you fat fuck land.
Survive this ride, get free candy. Okay?
If you do not survive this ride, your widow will receive free candy.
If you do not survive the ride, you've officially exceeded the weight limit allowed on this coaster.
You must look skinnier than Kevin Smith trying to get on a plane.
Oh God, he's lost a lot of weight, I think, right?
He okay, ready for this? Remember when you said that Eddie Murphy was funnier when he cursed?
Yeah.
I think Kevin Smith was better when he was fat.
Yeah, I totally get that for 110%. Like, good on him, he's healthier. But I think the fact that he hates himself a little less is part of the reason he's not as funny.
Yeah. I think I think that a little bit.
Like self-deprecation aspects.
Like there was definitely like a.
With Tom Segura.
Yeah. Like you need a little bit of like self-loathing, I think, to be truly like brilliant. And like he like had enough of he had the right disposition when he was fat. Like he had this disposition where like, I'm not crazy about how I am, but like I'm gonna make the best of it. And now it's like some people get so confident when like things start to go right for them that they become douchebags. Right?
They just lose touch of who they are, They're like, I want to get healthier and I want to change my appearance. And there's some people who's like, I want to change my whole existence. And it's like, well, don't lose sight of yourself. Be yourself. We don't love you because you're fat. We love you because you're the fat, funny, lovable oof,
Yeah.
Get rid of one of those things, but not 4 for 4, buddy. And he's still pretty good. Don't get me wrong. I listen to him when he's a guest on podcasts and stuff. But, like, what are they on, Clerks 5? Like, that's not going to be as good.
Yeah, they're coming out like a Clerks 3. I'm like, dude, how many times can you go back to the well? Like, come on.
Until it dies, until it runs dry.
Yeah, I think it has run dry, though. I think that's the thing. I don't think, since he's lost the weight, I don't think that one movie he's made has been good.
I can't even name a movie he's been in since he lost the weight.
I know he did that weird Canadian movie, like, what was it, Hosers?
Is that recent?
A couple of years ago.
Was it good? No, I guess not.
No, it wasn't good. I think Justin Long was in it. He put his daughter. That's the thing too. Like he's been putting like his family members into his movies now.
What happened to Justin Long?
America fell out of love. I think America just fell out of love with Justin.
Like a hot 4-year stretch.
Yes, in the mid 2000s, he had a very good run. He was one of the bigger, more up and coming young stars in Hollywood.
What happened? He just kind of ran off the face of the earth.
I don't know. I guess that whole awkward kind of nervousness that he has going on, I think people got tired of that because it is kind of like a very acquired kind of like taste in comedy, right?
Yeah, I think also he might have been. That's a good point. Now that you say that, you did sum him up like to a T there. It's kind of like Danny McBride. Like Danny McBride is the same guy in everything he's in.
I like Danny McBride though. Don't get me wrong. I do like Danny McBride.
I like Justin Long too. I like them both.
Yeah. No, I do. I like Justin Long too. But like, I just.
There's only so many movies that can be like the overconfident redneck.
Yeah.
Oh, this again?
Yeah. Look, Eastbound and Down is a freaking awesome show.
One of my favorite shows.
It is.
Oh God, that's hard to say. Maybe not 25. I'd have to sit down, but it's close.
It is one of my favorite shows of the last decade, at
Even
least.
Vice Principals was great. Not that everyone's like, "What is he talking about?" It was on HBO, and even that was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. Wasn't as good as Eastbound, but I did like it. But I did also feel like they're trying to hit a lot of the same notes that Eastbound and Down hit, and weren't doing it as well.
You know what was frustrating? Eastbound and Down had him in a school setting, so to place him in a school setting, it was kind of like, really, like you can't get a better scriptwriter.
Yeah,
Didn't I see him?
it's like oh, he's the big baseball player, and now he's the principal. We get it. He's big man on campus. We get it.
Right, big man, small pond.
Yeah, like, all right, you gotta be able to like.
Little kids who shouldn't hear him say, "I'm a tits man." It's like, oh, he said it again.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah. Like when every show starts to be Kenny Powers, and like, all right, I think that's enough. Like, like the one you can't really be.
Kenny Powers, you can't help but laugh. It's just great.
I mean, it's a brilliant show. It's a brilliant show, but the problem, you know what it is too? I think like for him, like Eastbound and Down, and like for Justin Long, what was it? Committed. Oh, Accepted. Those movies were like so iconic, and the show was so iconic that like once you have a character that's like that big, it's kind of hard to get out from under it. Too like once
modern day Jason Alexander.
Yeah, like once you like become that connected to a character, like all of a sudden that's all people see you as.
I haven't seen Accepted in probably a decade. Do you think it still holds up?
I haven't seen it in a while either. I don't know.
Would you like to watch Accepted together one day?
Sure.
I don't know why I proposed it like a 1847 ball, but I did.
Would you like to go to the cotillion with me? And we will go and enjoy the ball, and we will drink the punch.
I hear Justin Long will be there.
And we will all wear masks and costumes, and at the end we will retire to our quarters and have 5 hours of coitus.
All right, so I revoke the invitation to watch Accepted.
Oh, dude, I can't believe I forgot to show you when you were here my my merman jersey.
Oh, that's cool, man.
From yeah, Eastbound and Down, dude. I have his jersey. Like, I can't believe I didn't show it to you. I forgot I had it.
I thought you were talking smack about the Islanders fisherman. And I'm like, well, this is cousin Steve. He's like the biggest Islanders fan I know.
No. Dude, it was like right next to the TV when you were playing video games with me. Like, it's so crazy. I just didn't like notice it.
We should make them in that baseball game we play at your house.
What Eastbound and Down?
Yeah, we should make. First off, we need to make a character, Kenny Powers.
And absolutely. You know that he was partially based on John Rocker, right?
I don't even know who John Rocker is.
Oh, okay. So John Rocker was a relief pitcher and one time a closer for the Atlanta Braves in the late 90s, early 2000s. And in 1999, John Rocker said some pretty not nice things about the many different types of people that ride the subway in New York City.
Okay, this is vague enough for me to keep tracking. Keep going.
Now, remember, this is not. This is the 90s, okay? This is not now that we're talking about. But even then, like, he said stuff that was like so.
It must have been awful. It must have been so bad for the 90s to be like, whoa, what did you just say?
He was saying things about like different races. He was saying things about gay people and like trans people. Like, he was saying just like terrible things. And like
Hey, John, you throw a ball fast for a living. I want to pipe down.
Yeah, and it was in the it was in like the New York Daily News or something like that. Like, it was like a major newspaper that like carried this quote. And so of course, like, everyone was up in arms about it. Like, he became public enemy number one in New York. And every time that the Braves would come to Shea Stadium to play the Mets, he would have to have a police escort security all the time, and
Oh, he
he
ended up going to the Rays, you said? The Tampa Bay Rays?
no the Braves, Atlanta Braves.
I got you.
Now, not only that, every time. Now, I went to the playoffs in '99 when this stuff was going on. I was 8. It was crazy. They would when he would run in from the bullpen, D, they would throw batteries at him. I'm not shitting. Like they would. This is before like 9/11 and like before things got crazy. Like you could bring batteries to a baseball game and chuck them at guys. Like this is the type of shit that went down. And every time he would have to sprint. Guys usually walk in from the bullpen and like they'll take a very nice like
Karaoke's, stretch out a little bit on the way.
yeah, it's a very nice leisurely walk. No, he had to sprint because he's avoiding flying batteries. I mean, this guy was a complete asshole. He was such a typical Southern, kind of white trashy kind of a guy, douchebag. Like he was kind of like that. But I think what they did with like Kenny Powers was like they took more of the lighter, more comedic aspects of like his brashiness and like a little bit of the racism, not a whole lot, obviously. And they kind of incorporated that into Kenny Powers. Like I remember he did. I remember the hint in I'm mumbling here. The first episode when they show all the teams that he was on, and he comes to New York and he's like, "So how do you feel about playing in New York?" "Oh, you mean Jew York? Oh yeah, I love it." Remember that?
I do remember that.
That was freaking hilarious. Like that's a very like John Rocker thing.
From Baltimore to New York.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, but like, well, John Rocker was like a legitimate asshole. Like, I think Kenny Powers was like a redeemable character in the end. John Rocker was not redeemable, and I think that's why they had to like change a lot of things because he was really a piece of shit.
I mean, it makes the show that much more enjoyable that it's based off of a character. So I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I hated John Rocker, but still, it's a great show. I mean.
Now, was he a good pitcher? He had to have been to keep playing after that.
He was pretty good. He had a couple of good years, but I think that his mouth and some of his shenanigans became, a distraction, and eventually he fell off. Like he wasn't as good, and he, those guys, those guys that just create too much distractions on teams. It's just like, even if they are good, like at a certain point, like it becomes too much. Like you can't be pulling that shit all the time.
It makes it hard for everyone. Because if you're bringing a media circus, you're taking off the guys who are working hard and deserve to be recognized for their work ethic and their drive and passion. Meanwhile, you're every talking point, you're every story, you're every cycle. You're just eating up more than you need to be, and it's to the detriment of your own teammates and fan base.
I mean, like, I feel like if your team is getting like a police escort just for you,
Correct. Yeah.
there's some issues there.
Run right over,
Yeah.
You're not bumping YMCA in the back of that. Definitely very down the ride in, like, oh man, I think I may have gone too far this time. It's like, yeah, you think they're throwing fucking batteries at you. Oh my god. What are those really big batteries? You know what I'm talking about?
I think I like 9 volts, like D's.
D's, that's it. Yeah.
D's, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were throwing D's. They were throwing 9 volts. They had the biggest stuff they could find.
I'd go with like a AAA battery. You really need to smuggle in like 100 of them.
Where would you smuggle them?
Next question.
Sir, I regret to inform you.
I gotta wait till the 8th inning for this fucking relief pitcher to come in.
Sir, I'm going to need you to participate in a cavity search for us, please.
Oh my god, this is my 4th one at the stadium this year.
Man, you guys must really like me if you keep giving me all these cavity searches. I mean, at least take me out to dinner first. Jeez.
This is my fourth one at Shea, and two of them weren't even in the stadium.
How come I had to go to that chop shop across the street for that first one?
Oh, God. Oh, excuse me for the cough. Wow.
Yeah, that was so crazy. Do you remember? They're still there. There's like that whole row of chop shops like next to City Field. Like it's so crazy. It's like City Field and then like just like the shittiest area of Queens. It's it's like what?
I haven't been to City Field in a while. I went to a good amount of Yankee games the past couple of years.
Oh, you front runner. You front runner.
Nah, man, I wouldn't say that I'm a Yankees fan. I don't know much about baseball, admittingly,
I'm busting your balls.
and no, it's a cool atmosphere. To be honest, like playoff baseball is exciting. Every pitch is awesome because every pitch has the potential to change a game in every game. But for you, I'm not an avid fan, and I know there's an argument to be had on the other side of this. I'm aware of that. I'm almost willing to admit I'm aware that I'm wrong. But for me to be at home and it's like, dude, get excited for game 22 of 162. It's like, no. It's like, dude, no, I'm not going to spend 3 hours watching this. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, baseball has a huge problem right now attracting new fans for a lot of those reasons. Like, it's just not a great way to catch someone's attention and keep it for a long time. It's and you know the sabermetric stuff didn't help either. Like the analytics, like all that crap, that didn't help either. Like getting the nerds involved, but like just the way the game is it's so different from the rest of the other sports, and it's like it's more akin to like golf. Like you watch it, and like if you're not completely invested, like you'll start to fall asleep.
I mean, a good amount of the time, the narrators are very calm, and it's a nice day here, and he takes them out. That's strike three on the outside. You know, like you don't really hear that in much sports. You know, if you think about even soccer.
I mean, like think about how much time the broadcasters that broadcast baseball games don't actually talk about baseball. Like it's a ridiculous amount of time because they have to kill so much time and fill so much time.
I mean, now that I'm thinking about it, that must be of all the commentation jobs, that's got to be the best because you can kind of go off the riff and hardest.
Yeah. Yeah, no question. I mean, you have to really be good at like riffing and like filling time because sometimes it can get to be pretty monotonous.
It's also one of the best in-person sporting events.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just for the atmosphere alone. I mean, there's nothing like taking in a day at the ballpark. You know, like there's just something very unique about it. Maybe uniquely American, maybe.
In my eyes, as boring as it is to watch at home, it's as exciting to watch in person.
Oh yeah, no question. Because like you're actually there.
Going and getting food and having a couple pints and the crowd and the songs and the tradition. Oh, yeah. It's awesome.
It's an experience, and you know that's why a lot of people like it because it's an experience. But the problem is they don't really know how to attract new fans because it's not really a sport that lends itself to.
Are the fans dwindling? Like I'm sure the digital, online, and views on TVs are probably not as good as they once were. But are the crowds starting to dwindle, or are ballparks still pretty full for the most part?
I can't say. I don't have the numbers for sure. I don't know the exact answer to that, but I do know for a fact that they are having a lot of trouble attracting like minority fans and like younger fans. It's mostly like middle-aged white guys that watch baseball and are engaged by baseball and really nobody else. And that audience is shrinking by the year.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely a problem in a business sense.
I mean, I really do think that like baseball is legitimately dying in front of our eyes. Like,
you don't think they could just make it a smaller scale and still operate at a high level?
I
Like,
mean,
like new stadiums have less seats than more, just slightly. You know, like 20,000 less, 10,000 less seats.
I mean, they could do that. I don't know if they would want to do that because it's the less seats you put in, the less that's revenue. You can't sell them.
Ah, but the less seats available, the more valuable this per seat could be.
True, but
Because the diehards would want to go and get a seat, so you could kind of.
right, but you're forgetting all of these owners are so greedy that like they want to
It's just like
charge.
the Raiders. When the Raiders were in Oakland, they had a massive stadium and they quite literally tarped up the upper decks. Tarped up upper decks aren't doing anything good for profit or revenue, right? It's just costing you more money to maintain.
I mean, but if you can't sell those tickets, there's nothing you can do, right? If no one wants to come, no one wants to buy them.
Scale down operations to lower your expenses for the overhead.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to like try to help save baseball, but I know they need a lot of help because they're definitely struggling. I mean, that's very clear now. Like, that's got to be
What about
evident.
an international market, Steve? Teams from each country.
You know, they've done the World Baseball Classic, and you know that generates some interest.
The Little League World Series, I feel like, kills it.
Yeah, look, you're gonna there's always gonna be, you know, like Japan and like Chinese Taipei and then like the Latin American countries, like you're always gonna get interest from there. But it's the American fan, the domestic fan that like
Yeah.
is not that interested in baseball. Yeah, I mean that's really the most important. Not that those other international fans aren't important, but that's really what you're saying is right. That's the bread and butter right there for me. It's you're operating in America, so obviously the most important people is the people in your country that your league is based in, because they're going to pay to go to the games. So obviously that's the bigger deal right now.
It's weird that Virginia doesn't have any professional sports teams.
Well, don't you have the Nationals?
They're in Washington.
Yeah, well that's kind of Virginia, right?
Yeah, it is. Washington, D.C. is close.
So that's kind of like local for you, right?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of Commander fans, Baltimore Ravens fans. Whatchamacallit, there's this restaurant I go to near me. It's called Randy's. Shout out Randy's. Not that anyone from Randy's is ever going to hear this, but if you do, you make a great steak. See, if they have this corn brulee. Listen to this. I'm going to go off real quick.
Corn brulee?
Yeah, it's like a cream corn. And I'm like usually not the biggest guy in cream corn. I'm just kind of like, I'll take cream spinach. But it's a cream corn. And it's got like a Romano and like a Pecorino Romano type of cheese in there. And then it's just in a velvety, creamy sauce. And they top it off with like a fucking spicy, I don't know if they put cayenne in it, but it's like a brulee crust. So they literally cover it with like a little bit of spiced sugar. And they burn the top of it. And it's creamy, and the top is crunchy, so you have that texture contrast, and the corn is savory and fatty and buttery, and then there's the punch from the nuttiness of the cheese, and then the sugar from the brulee, and then it ends with a little spice on the tongue. It's a great dish, man. After a couple whiskeys and like a porterhouse steak, you sit in there, you take a bite of that, it just punches you in the mouth. It's great.
Wow, it
Oh,
sounds.
excuse me, there's pancetta in it too. There's like smoked bacon they make in house, and that adds to it as well. And then you have this. It hit every note. I was so impressed by this side dish, Steve. I'm telling you. Me and my girl went back like a couple days later just to get the corn brulee again.
I mean, that sounds unbelievable.
It really was. Like, we got it kind of like, we were like, all right, first time here. A little intimidated, right? You go to like a nice restaurant in a new city. Naturally, it's not comfortable. That's part of the reason why I'm really big on getting comfortable, going back to your favorite restaurant, because it's the comfort level. You know what to expect, and you know what it looks like, you know, and you know what the food is going to be like, and the portion, the size, and the pricing, and you know the waiting staff after a while. So the comfort plays in such a big factor of being like a local great restaurant, because you want people to come in your restaurant and feel comfortable, not be on edge. It's almost like that first date jitters when you go out to a new restaurant. At least for me, it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that sounds unbelievable though. I'd love to try that.
Oh, dude, when you come on down, we're absolutely going to Randy's. We're going to Randy's. We're going to Sloppy Mama's, which is a barbecue place.
Oh,
Couple good spots down here. I'm gonna make some barbecue for us. We're gonna have a ball, dude.
sloppy mamas. Jesus.
My girl got me a hat for my birthday. It's the Sloppy Mama's on it, and she got me.
Nice.
Her and Mama got me like a spread from there. They got me like the ribs, the brisket, all
Oh.
pulled pork, their sauces. She got me a big bottle of their sauce, and it's good, man. It's good barbecue.
Yeah.
Their brisket's okay, but like. I popped around Texas and had like 6 or 7 like iconic barbecue spots, and nothing's ever gonna beat their brisket. Their brisket is a tops, man. It's not even close. The pulled pork was great. They did a really good pulled pork, and some of the better ribs I've had at Sloppy Mama's. They're really good, man. They're up there. And their sauces are nice. They make a couple different barbecue sauces. If I'm talking too much about barbecue, you let me know.
You can never talk to me too much about barbecue, D.
They got like a sauce bar, dude. Like, you know how like Pizza Hut would have like a salad bar?
Yeah.
They have a bar of sauces. So it's like and it's cool because barbecue is not to play it into sports, but like fandom in sports. You got the Northeast fans who are like their own kind of tough, back their team, hey, fuck you kind of people. Then you have like the cold weather fans, like the Packers. You kind of respect those fans. The outdoor Michigan State fans, Ohio State, the tough Midwest. You were just in Ohio, right? They're like a type of career fan. Then you have the California fan who's like, I got better things to do, but I'm still a diehard. It's like, all right, are you? But barbecue has its own little cutout. So what I mean by that is like Kansas City sauce is sweet and it's tomato based, and that's like their sauce. It's like it's thick, a thicker sauce, and it's got some sweetness in it, and it's always based with tomato. Then you go to like Georgia, and Georgia has like a mustard based sauce, and it can be sweet, but it also could be real tangy. And the Carolinas have a vinegar based sauce, so very thin, usually apple cider vinegar, usually red pepper flakes in there. It's a wet sauce, but it's got some chunks in it from the seasoning. And Texas is just as simple as you get. Texas, they love SPG, salt, pepper, garlic. And that's what they put on their brisket and their ribs and everything. They're like, we don't do a Memphis dry rub. What's that? Get fucked. We're putting salt, restaurant style, coarse pepper, and garlic powder. And that's it. And the secret is just cook it right. And that's what I kind of respect about Texas. They're like traditionalists, and they're still winning. They're doing less is doing more in barbecue, I feel like.
I mean, if anyone would know, it would be them, right?
For sure. And it's like a cult down there. I mean, you see people in there, they're so passionate about it, and they were, so happy and excited for me that I came to eat the food, which is cool. And then you think, I'm sitting down and eating the food. I'm like, wow, this is great. I see why they're so proud of it. And then you think, like, these people have probably been working here, 5-6 days a week, 10 years plus. Some of the old timer cooks probably their whole life, and they're still passionate about it, which is really cool.
Wow. I mean, that's all. My like the best places like I found like are always like the hole in the wall, like out of the way, like no one really knows about them, but like the people who know like swear by it. Like those are always like the best places, right? I mean,
For sure. When it comes to barbecue and like southern food like that, I definitely agree because we know our food is good. The thrills and stuff is expensive. You know what I mean? We're not gonna pay for the thrills. In a good Texas barbecue spot, here's the essentials you need to see. You ready for this? A paper towel roll on every table. Standard.
okay.
If you walk in and they don't have a paper towel roll, turn around. Get out of there. It's a trap. It's a trap. Seriously, that's a standard. And then when you get your food, it needs to be served on butcher paper because they're not washing dishes. So you're getting butcher paper and maybe a tray, and they're giving you 3 or 4 pieces of white bread depending on your order. Country white bread, none of that thrill shit. You're not getting a seeded brown bread loaf with a honey nut butter, locally sourced. No. You're getting white bread, probably Wonder Bread, or if like something was on sale, maybe generic Wonder Bread, which is like golly bread. But you get what I'm saying. That's how you know you're about to have.
Golly.
Yeah, golly. I was like, what's the word close to wonder? And I was like,
Gee, Santa, you're not gonna kill me, are you?
Oh man, that's the best South Park episode. I'll never forget the first time I saw that, dude. Me and you were at Grandpa's house, and we were in the living room or the TV room, and I was laughing my ass off. And at the same time, I was like, this is so dark. And that's when I knew. I was like, this is a great show. And I remember it vividly, dude.
I remember tears running down my face. I was laughing so hard that I was crying. I was on the floor, like my sides were about to burst. I was laughing so hard. Like, there have been like maybe like 4 times where I've actually laughed that hard in my life.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, dude.
I mean, that is just like its own class of episode, like as far as that show goes. I mean, that's just so, it's all the right ways of fucked up. Like, it's so deliciously dark that like you can't help but be like, oh my god, this is amazing.
No, we had such a blast there, and that was one of the best memories we had, and we spent so much time together there. It kind of upsets you. You watch The Sopranos? You like The Sopranos, Steve?
I haven't really watched a whole lot of The Sopranos though. I gotta say.
Yeah, I think you would enjoy it. It's a really fun watch. It's like
I saw the movie. I saw Saints of Newark.
I haven't seen it. No spoilers. How was it?
I like that. I thought it was very good. And not having really seen the show, it doesn't really matter because it's a prequel. So it doesn't matter if you've seen the show or not. It's still a great movie.
Definitely watch it, man. It's worth it. It really is, and we can talk about it. And it's like I'm like jealous that you haven't seen it yet because it's really good. It's like watching a Martin Scorsese movie, but the movie just happens to be 18 hours.
Is that how long the series is?
No, I don't know. It's each episode is almost an hour, and there's 6 seasons. It's like 5A and 5B of the last season.
Oh my god! So that's like, yeah, that's like a couple months, right?
It's awesome. It's so good.
I remember.
But the reason I brought it up, I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
Before I forget. The reason I brought it up is something that always stuck out with me. He says in a show, Tony Soprano, he goes, reminiscing of conversation. And I couldn't disagree more. I think it's magical. I think reminiscing about stuff is awesome. I think I just felt very close to that same excitement. Not very close, but pretty close to that same excitement and joy we had together because we both remembered it fondly. Do you know what I mean?
You know what I found like over the years, like the more like your close friends, like the more time you spend with your close friends, like the more time you spend like just going over the same shit that you've already like gone over and like reliving the same moments and telling the same stories. It's like after a while it's like you're following a script almost. It's like, yeah, like we've already talked about this stuff, but like we love telling the stories, so like we keep doing it, and that's like one of the ways that like me and all my friends like, you know, connect more by like reminiscing about times that we've already been through. Like it's so crazy. Like that's like a thing that like friends do.
And it's like a coaster, or it's like a joke that goes on for too long, where it's like, oh yeah, we've already talked about this, and then you're like, yeah, but who cares? We're talking about this because it's a fucking classic, you know? Like,
Yeah.
Up and down, and it gets funnier and better over time. It's great.
Yeah, and then you got all the running gags. Like me and you like have running gags. Me and Michael are gonna have running gags, right? All the inside jokes.
Every time I call you, we do the running gag.
And there's one of them. Yeah, that's one of them.
No, this is insert multiple applications.
Oh, I mean that's the best stuff. The best stuff is like the stuff that you've already done before, but you keep doing it because you love it. You know, like that's the best stuff.
Sometimes when I call my buddy Munson, he goes, Joe's Hoe House, you got the dough, we got the hoe, how can I help you? I always thought that was great.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a good one. And he says it in such a good voice, it's fucking funny.
Oh, man.
Well, Stevie, I think I'm going to call it. I'm going to get a chicken Caesar salad wrap.
Where? I thought you were, didn't you cook already?
In fact, I'm not going to get, like, order. I made. chicken Caesar.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, I'm like,
I made it and I wrapped it in the fridge because
they're
I
better
don't know. I
cold.
might be in the minority here. When I want a chicken Caesar salad wrap, I don't
Cold.
want the chicken hot. Yeah, dog.
Cold.
I want it
Yep.
cold, but I want a pure tortilla. There's a big difference there. I don't want it hot served, but I want the tortilla not floppy. I don't want my tortilla to be like a whiskey dick. I want a crunchy contrast. I can't help it.
Oh, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Like, and the lettuce, like the lettuce has to be like fresh and crisp enough. It can't be too soggy.
No, you
Like,
can't have it pre-made. Really, you can't make it too long in advance, or the lettuce will wilt in the dressing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's like
Like I
some.
wrapped it like an hour ago, and I think it's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah, like I mean, it's amazing like how easy it is to fuck up a chicken Caesar wrap, but like so many places do it.
Absolutely, yeah. No, seriously. There was a Embassy Diner. You remember Embassy Diner?
I do.
Their chicken Caesar salad wrap is like they take chicken and they cube it up. And I'm telling you, dude, this is how they do it. I don't know for a fact, but I bet a lot of money. They take grilled chicken, like probably hot off the grill. They cube it up, and then they put it in a saute pan with Caesar dressing. So the dressing is like a fucking boiling lava hot. And then you bite into it, and of course the dressing gets all over you, and it like burns your lips, and
Oh
it'll get you
my
hurt.
god.
Shitty, chewy chicken. Fuck that place.
Oh my. Well, I think if you went back there now, you wouldn't have that experience again
They have new owners
because
there.
not just new owners, but the people who own Okanee by me took over that diner, and they're now making triple of what they were making before they took over.
Oh, they're making more money?
They're making trip. You can't get a spot in there. It is packed all the time. Yes. On the turnpike, right? On the turnpike?
Yeah, man, that's the one.
Yeah.
Last time you went?
I went a couple months ago.
I take it back, Embassy. I take my slander back.
Well, no, you haven't been there since the ownership change. If you went back there now, I think you'd love it.
We gotta go.
We gotta go.
It's a date.
Well, you know, not a date, but a date.
No, don't listen, fan base. It's a date. Snatch it at Embassy Diner.
It's FBW day. No, FWB.
We could make the other acronym work, I'm sure. There's potential.
Fat butt whipping.
Well, on that note, I'm out of here. Text me, dog. I'll see you later.
All right, good times, D. Good times. All right. And all right, I guess he's out, so I guess we're done. All right, thanks for listening, guys. Social media, check us out on Facebook. Check out the S&M page on Facebook pages. Check out the Instagrams at Steve Nicks, Larkin92, Larkin _92. Wow, I'm really bad at these when I'm by myself. Mike Larkin I'm sure I'll get Mike Larkin to put everything in the description. But yeah, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Peace.